The shadows of storm and night. The mysteries of life and light. From unearthly peculiarities, celestial and divine, to apparitions and transcendental signs. You're listening to the Spirit Podcast.
Hi, friends, and welcome to The Spirit. I'm Beck, and with me is...
Hey, guys. I'm Rachel.
Rachel's my new co-host with the most. How you doing, Rach?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here.
I know, we're going to have some fun this season. Rachel, do you like mountains?
I am a fan of mountains. The Adirondacks usually one of my most happiest places to be in.
See, I'm not a mountain girl. I'm more of a fresh lake kind of girl.
I don't climb mountains. I just like being around them and their energy.
Do you like to stay the night in the mountains?
I guess I never stayed the night in the mountain.
Never gone into the mountains, deep into the mountains and went camping or anything?
No. I stay like in a nice little cabin at the bottom of the mountains.
In the safe spot by the lakes.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I have an appreciation of the mountains. I think they're beautiful, but I do have some friends that lived in Colorado and they said they felt very landlocked in those mountains, and those mountains had a eeriness to them. In fact, this episode's going to be all about mountains and hauntings, but water can be too. Live on the river. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on here. Let's get into this episode. I think we should call it Whispers of the Mountains, Hauntings and Hidden Histories of the Appalachians. What do you think about that title?
Spooky.
This is going to be our season 3 launcher, episode 74. For our listeners that don't live in the United States, they probably have no idea about the Appalachian Mountains. They probably just think they're mountains. But I want to give a little brief history, if that's okay with you, Rachel, about the Appalachians.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. And feel free to jump in with anything that, is pertinent. The Appalachians span over 1,500 miles, and they include many distinct sub-ranges, and they're divided into regions like the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Great Smoky Mountains, and the Allegheny Plateau, and others. Now, I always was confused because I just thought the Appalachians were the Appalachians. I didn't know the Smoky Mountains were part of the Appalachians. Were you aware of that?
No.
Now, I've heard people talk about the Smoky Mountains or the Great Smoky Mountains, but that's a specific sub-range of the larger Appalachian mountain range. They are located along the border between Tennessee and North Carolina in the southeastern United States, and this area is well known for the distinctive fog and the mist, which covers the mountaintops and gives the mountains their smoky appearance, hence the name Smoky. That mist rises from the forest, and it gives the illusion of smoke hanging over the mountains.
Yeah. And did you know that fog is actually pretty acidic from pollution now?
Yeah, it's really sad. Why the different names? Well, you have geographical specificity. So the term Appalachian refers to the entire 1,500-mile mountain range. That spans multiple states. The Smoky Mountains are just one of those subranges. Let's talk about the cultural and historical context, because the name Appalachia has historical and cultural significance that goes beyond the mountains themselves. It refers not just to the mountains, but also the region's distinctive culture. I know many of you have heard of the Appalachian music. Love it. Folklore, traditions. Now, the Smoky Mountains obviously is more specific to the mountain range's geographical feature and the environmental conditions. But the people living near the Smoky Mountains often identify specifically with that subrange. There's a Great Smoky Mountain National Park that was established in 1934, and that is a key feature of the Tennessee-North Carolina border. So we're just trying to give you geography on this.
Yeah, and it's like one of the most geologically complex mountains, too.
Absolutely. It is a vast mountain range located in eastern North America. Where does this span from? It spans from Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah. It actually even extends into parts of Canada in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. It's more limited in Canada compared to the U.S. The mountains form a natural boundary between the eastern coastal plains and the interior plains of the United States. The Appalachians are divided into several distinct sections based on geography and geology. So when you hear people go, yeah, I'm going to be hiking the Appalachians, that is a really vast mountain range. So that's a long hike. You've got the northern Appalachians, and that includes New England and the northern part of New York. The central Appalachians, and that covers parts of Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Virginia. You've got the southern Appalachians. That extends through parts of North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. And then you've got the Blue Ridge Mountains, which is a major subrange running through parts of Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. It stretches 2,190 miles from Georgia to Maine. That's crazy to try to hike that. The highest peak in the Appalachians, this is all the stats. I just want to get it to you guys. The highest peak, 6,684 feet, and that's located in North Carolina, Mount Mitchell. The Appalachians are not as tall as the Rockies or the Sierra Nevada, but their age is over 480 million years old.
Wow.
Yeah. It gives them a distinctive kind of weathered character with rolling hills, densely forested, deep valleys. Now, this range of mountains is not only known for its natural beauty, but for its rich cultural history and the many legends, including those related to the paranormal folklore, which is why we're talking about it. The early history of the mountains, we have the Native American settlements. They were home to various Native American tribes, including the Cherokee and the Shawnee. The mountains played a significant role in the westward expansion of European settlers in the 18th and 19th centuries. And during the Civil War, the Appalachian region saw several key battles and skirmishes, with mountains providing strategic advances and challenges.
Yeah, and those indigenous cultures, they lived there for hundreds of years before the settlers arriving. And I think the interesting part of the Appalachians is up north, when the glacier started to melt, a lot of the wildlife migrated up to the peaks of those mountains, and they ended up staying up there.
Are they still existent down in the lower?
Unfortunately, a lot of them had gone extinct because like loggers came in and they were cutting down trees, and there's a lot of forest fires, but there was like polar bears at one point.
I believe it. It is vast and very isolated.
So the settlers, they arrived in the late 1400s, but they were afraid to cross the mountains. They didn't. So the indigenous people first were the ones to move upward to flee from the settlers.
I don't blame them.
No.
I don't blame them, but
With all their disease. And
so what I found interesting was the other day I was going through YouTube and I had found a channel called Yes Theory. And these guys had taken a little trip to the Appalachians, and they went to a place that's called Green Bank, West Virginia. It's located in the National Radio Quiet Zone. I didn't even know this place existed. So why this place is unique is radio silence. It restricts all radio transmissions to minimize interference with scientific research, which is going to lead me to the next thing, and military intelligence. So that means no cell phones, no Wi-Fi, or even microwaves. Green Bank is home to the Green Bank Telescope. It's one of the world's largest steerable radio telescopes. Scientists use it to study the universe by listening to the faint signals from distant galaxies. I think that's why they have to keep everything quiet. Despite the high-tech research, Green Bank maintains a rural, old-world charm. It's a place where life moves at a slower pace, and the residents have adapted to living without modern digital conveniences. Residents have found a creative way to stay connected without modern technology because they have landlines and face-to-face interactions, which I think is pretty awesome. I know that a lot of people with sensitivities to Wi-Fi and any kind of electromagnetic interference, the people that get migraines or get rashes, they tend to go to this place. And this place is very special because there are not many places on this earth left where you can go with complete quiet.
oh, I'd probably thrive there.
I'd have to have my Appalachian music and I'd have to go see some live bands or something to get through it. But one central meetup place, which was a restaurant / general store. So like in the event that there needed to be news spread, You think about it, you can't just jump onto your Facebook group or on the internet and go, what's going on? They'd all have to congregate at this place and give each other, there's a storm coming, or however they want to connect with one another, because I'm pretty sure newspapers are probably out of the question. But a lot of the people that were interviewed there were just really content with that slow moving lifestyle. They enjoyed their campfires at night with the bear and connecting with the nature. Oh man, I'm probably offending some Appalachian people. But it was quaint. I don't know if I could handle the quiet like that myself. I am a little bit of a techie, so I'd have a hard time. But as a getaway, I might be able to do it for a while. We're going to get into some supernatural aspects and folklore.
That's what has drawn me to the Appalachians, just information that I've heard from everyone talking about the folklore. So one interesting thing, and there's always been that thing, a black cat crosses your path. In the Appalachians, if a black cat crosses the road, you need to draw an X in the air 3 times before it crosses the road completely, or it's bad luck.
Do you believe it?
With the origin of why black cats are bad luck, they used to say that women were witches and they turned into cats and they're bad luck and blah, blah, blah. So if I see a black cat cross my path, I see it as good luck.
I love black cats. I think they're wonderful.
It's just like the number 13. It's my lucky number because it is a very feminine number.
I think there's something to the folklore of things, but I don't know. The black cat thing, okay. But maybe if I lived in the mountains, it ain't a black cat. You know what I mean? This could be something else.
That's true.
What are the chances of a black cat just crossing your path in the middle of the mountain range? I don't know.
Or someone had OCD and they made up that rule.
That's right. Serious OCD.
Yeah.
I know about the Scorched Man. In 2011, there was a hiker exploring the Appalachian Trail, and he encountered like this terrifying figure. And then as the night fell, he heard these strange noises near his campsite, but he didn't investigate. And the next day, while he was sitting by his fire, he saw a man standing near, and his body was all burned and smoking. And then the figure stared at him before walking away. And of course, the hiker was in shock. Later, he discovered a burned down house nearby and then learned from a sheriff that the family had perished in a fire just days before.
That's freaky. This is one I've never heard before. So when you're in the Appalachian Mountains, when you go apple picking, you must leave 1 apple on each tree as an offering for the devil so he doesn't do harm to you.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
Okay. That's another. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so better leave him as apple.
Leave the apple. You can leave an apple.
Yeah.
Did you know there's a cursed village in Dudleytown? It's a ghost town in Connecticut, and it's said to be cursed and is a popular spot for the ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. It was settled in the early 18th century by members of the Dudley family. They were descendants of English noblemen that were beheaded for treason, of course, in the 16th century. The legend suggests that the curse followed the family to America. Great. Now, by the mid-19th century, the village was pretty much abandoned due to poor farming conditions, and there was a lure of more fertile land in the Midwest. The land was eventually purchased by the Dark Entry Forest, Inc., a private land trust in 1924. What a weird name, the Dark Entry Forest, Inc.
Yeah.
A little creepy.
Some dark forest detectives or something like that.
We're the Dark Forest Detectives.
Hey, did you know that in the Appalachians, when someone passes away in their home, they must be removed feet first? So that way you don't catch the eye. You don't catch the eye if you're alive, because if you catch the eye when they're going out, that means you're going to be the next one to pass
I'm totally
away.
confused by this passing of the eyes and everything, and I'm still stuck on the apple and the devil. So wait a minute. So someone dies.
Yeah.
They have to be carried out feet first.
Yeah. So you don't catch eyes with them. Because if you bring the body out head first, I guess you could be out there, and if you look,
You're going to catch eyes
with the dead person.
But what if their eyes are closed?
I don't know. You can't look at their face. Just feet first.
Okay,
Play it
all right.
safe.
I have no problem with playing it safe. We do know that several hundred people have gone missing or died in the Appalachian Mountains over the years, but the exact figures, they're hard to come by. I tried to research that, particularly on the Appalachian Trail and the remote areas of the national parks. It's harder to pin it down. The death ranges from accidents, falls, weather-related fatalities, more mysterious disappearances. They continue to haunt the region's folklore. There's a lot of unsolved cases, and those continue to fuel the mystery as well. It's very naturally beautiful there, but it's unsettling as well.
Yeah, quite unsettling. In the woods, they say if you see something strange in the woods, then no, you didn't.
That would be hard for me because I always have to tell the story and go, listen, you have to hear what I saw. But I think if I lived there, I could keep my mouth shut if I had to. Although that'd be like a slow burning torture.
Yeah, like it's actually like worse. Like the more you focus in on it, the worse outcome it's going to be for you.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Let's talk about the whistling. I know you must know about the whistling.
I live by the whistling in my own home.
I don't know. I like to whistle once in a while. My aunt was a really professional whistler too, my great aunt. And so she used to be a beautiful whistler. I don't know how I feel about it, but I guess if I lived in the Appalachians, it'd be off the table. There's a chilling legend about the dangers of whistling at night there. According to the tale, if you whistle in the mountains after dark, you might hear your own whistle echoed back at you. Now, this is believed to be the work of spirits or supernatural beings who hear the whistle and then they come to investigate it. The folklore suggests that these spirits could be wendigos or skinwalkers, creatures from the indigenous legends that are known to lure and harm people. The idea is that whistling at night can attract these malevolent entities, and it invites trouble into your life. It's a spooky story. It's been passed down through generations, and many locals still take the warning seriously.
That's why I don't do it. I believe in it enough that I feel like it gives it power. So I feel strongly about it. And I'm already sensitive to the spirit folk anyways, so I'm not doing it.
You're like Erykah Badu. I'm an artist, and I'm sensitive about my shit. So,
yeah, something like that.
okay.
Just don't do it. But
Okay.
don't do it at night. You can do it in the day all you want.
I have a documented story that I found about the whistling. There was a TikToker who shared their chilling experience that happened to her friend Jane. Now, Jane grew up in the Appalachian foothills, where her grandmother had two strict rules: be home by dusk and never whistle at night. When Jane asked why, her grandmother cryptically replied, "It calls them to you." But then she wouldn't elaborate any further. One night, Jane couldn't resist the urge to whistle and see if the legend was true. No, Jane, no. She let out a loud, high-pitched whistle, and to her horror, she heard her whistle echoed back to her. The experience left her terrified, and she firmly believed that her whistle had summoned something supernatural.
Why don't you just play with a Ouija board while you're at it?
Yeah, Jane, why don't you whistle and play the Ouija board at the same time?
Jane, if you're in the Appalachian Mountains and you're walking around, you feel something following you, do not run.
Why? Do we know why?
They don't explain why. It's going to get you faster. It knows that.
I'm one of those little kids that's like, why can't I do that?
Listen, Grandma didn't really explain
No.
why.
They don't. Grandma never explains why. She just says not to do it.
So I can only think if you're running, maybe that gives it the go to get you.
Great.
So you got to act like it's not there.
Oh my God. You know how hard it would be not to run?
Yeah, extremely hard.
Knowing me, I'd probably trip over a few logs and sprain an ankle. I'd be the girl in the horror movie that got killed right away because I'd be dragging myself through the forest by my elbows. It'd be horrible. You ever heard of the Cherokee Little People?
The little Cherokee people?
The Cherokee Little People, I think is what they're called, but
Cherokee
they're little
little
Cherokee
people?
people. Yeah, they're mystical beings believed to inhabit the Appalachians. And according to legend, these tiny magical entities, they're guardians of nature. And they have these healing powers, and they offer aid to... That doesn't sound bad, does it?
No.
They offer aid to those in need. They're said to be only as tall as a doll and can disappear from human sight due to their ability to camouflage themselves.
Like gnomes.
Little Cherokee gnomes.
You ever watch the movie The Gnome Mobile?
Gnome? What is it?
The Gnome Mobile?
No. What is this B movie we speak of?
It's a really old, obscure Disney movie.
Oh, okay.
And you can't see them unless you believe or something like that.
Okay. The little people hold a revered place within the Cherokee culture. They're considered protectors of the environment. They help people during times of illness and injury. The legends tell their enchanting melodies and laughter echoing through the wind, adding a mystical charm to the mountains. Now, in the past, humans and the little people coexisted harmoniously, living in balance and communicating with each other. However, as human settlements expanded, the harmony was disrupted, and the little people retreated deeper into the mountains.
Why do humans always got to screw it up?
We ruin everything.
I want to be one with the little people.
There's numerous reports from hikers who claim that they have encountered these small humanoid figures in remote areas of the mountains, and they're said to disappear into thin air, or they've led lost travelers to safety. So maybe they're still around. Some stories involve the little people helping people who are lost in the woods. And these individuals report being guided to safety by these mystical beings. And then they just disappear without a trace. Now, the Cherokee people, the little Cherokee people, they're still revered in modern Cherokee culture. And some elders continue to share the stories of encounters with these beings. These tales emphasize the importance of respecting nature and the spiritual world. I like the little Cherokee people.
I do too.
The Cherokee little people. I must have dyslexia today because I keep switching it around. Doesn't little Cherokee people sound better than Cherokee little people?
Yeah. Yeah, you want to start with the adjective.
The descriptor, exactly.
Yeah. So while you're in the woods in the Appalachians, if you hear someone call your name, ignore it. It is not who you think.
Well, I hope you have more for me on this.
So say you're out there and you hear a familiar voice. There have been stories of people in the woods and they hear their mother calling for them, or they hear their friend, or they hear their dog is out there barking or something, and they don't go out and look. And once they get home, that person or pet that they thought they heard in the woods is actually home.
That can be confusing because what if it really is them and they need help?
According to Appalachian law.
You got the Appalachian Law Handbook there?
Yeah. Section 5, Chapter 42.
Yeah.
It's not what you think. Or if it's a woman saying, help me, which, yes, that's confusing. What if somebody actually needs help? You just got to walk away.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm not surviving long in the Appalachians. I'll tell you right now. I'm going to run. If I hear someone screaming for me that I know their voice, I'm going to be like, hold on, Mom, I'm coming.
Because I feel like sociopaths will do great in the Appalachians. So they're like, oh, whatever.
Absolutely. They belong in the Appalachians, like the Moon-Eyed people. You ever heard of the Moon-Eyed people?
I have not heard of the Moon-Eyed people.
This is a group of small, white-eyed people
Ooh.
who live in the mountains, and they're said to be the original inhabitants of the region. When you sight them, they're associated with mysterious lights and sounds. They're described as a group of short, bearded, white-skinned individuals who lived in the region before the arrival of the Cherokee. So that's how far back they go. And according to the Cherokee tradition, these people were so sensitive to light that they could only come out at night.
Interesting.
Yeah. Their eyes were so sensitive in daylight they could only see at night. So this made them nocturnal beings, and they would only emerge from their hiding places under the cover of darkness. One of the most famous legends involves a stone wall at Fort Mountain in Georgia, and it's believed that the Moon-Eyed people built this wall to protect themselves from the Cherokee. This wall is like a zigzagging structure that has puzzled archaeologists and historians for years.
So do you think they're like benevolent creatures?
They could be. They sound creepy to look at. According to the legend, the Cherokee eventually expelled the Moon-Eyed people from the regions. They took advantage of the sensitivity to light by attacking them. Of course, again, with the human beings, or attacking them during a full moon or when their eyes were most vulnerable.
Terrible.
There's no scientific evidence to confirm the existence of Moon-Eyed people, but Some people think that it could have been early European settlers or even Welsh explorers who arrived in America long before Columbus. But I like to think of the little moon-eyed people as real.
Another core rule in this handbook of the Appalachians
Yep, we need to know.
is you do not go into the woods at night.
Okay, I'm down with that one. I'm completely down with that. Did they give a reason why?
Just don't.
So these are the straight out rules. There's no explanation. You follow the damn rules.
I'd be tempted because it's a thrill. Do you ever just go take a walk in the woods, like in the middle of the night?
No.
It is riveting. We did
Riveting.
We did it over the summer.
Okay.
It was like my dad, David, and I wanted to. I said, let's just go walk. Like maybe we'll see a bear. I don't know. My dad's, yeah, let's do it.
Did you have flashlights?
We had a flashlight.
Okay.
And he's taking the flashlight and pointing it in everybody's cabin. I'm like,
Okay, so it was populated.
yeah, it was popular.
You
It
weren't
was
in the
cabins.
Appalachians where it was just thousands of miles of just nothingness.
No, but it'd still be, I think it'd be fun.
You're on your own there, Rach.
I am.
And then when you start calling, I have to follow the handbook, so I can't come get you.
Yeah, you can't come get me.
Run.
I can't run.
No whistling for help. Don't try to whistle.
Yeah,
You're screwed. You really want to do that little walk there still?
I do.
Okay. Okay. All right. There is a wampus cat of Appalachia. That's a cryptid and ghostly creature. It's rare. It's a lesser known tale. It's eerie and mysterious. And the description of the wampus cat vary, but it's described as this large, fearsome feline with glowing yellow eyes, often said to appear as a mountain lion or a panther, but with supernatural abilities. This creature is able to walk on two legs. Oh boy.
Ooh.
Even transform into a human form. And some describe the wampus cat as a shape-shifting creature, a spirit, or a cursed woman who roams the forest seeking revenge. The wampus cat again came from the Cherokee legend. According to the myth, a young Cherokee woman, I said that weird, Cherokee woman, was curious and eager to see the secretive ritual of the tribe's men, who gathered to perform sacred dances and ceremonies. The woman, curious and unwilling to obey the rules, secretly followed the men to watch see, that would be me and you probably. We'd be like, we need to see what the men are doing.
Yeah, what are you up
So she
to?
went to a hidden spot and she was discovered. And then she was punished for violating sacred customs. So the tribe's medicine man cursed her. Now, some version of the tale say that she was transformed into a cat-like creature, doomed to wander the Appalachian wilderness for all of eternity. In some variations, the curse takes form of a half-human, half-cat shapeshifter, who can no longer live as a person, but is also no longer fully a cat, as a creature trapped between worlds.
Mm.
And then in others, the wampus cat is said to have been a woman cursed for spying, but the change left her with supernatural powers, like the ability to shift her form and then stalk the woods at night.
If you saw it, would you be like,
Maybe if we go out to the forest, we should have a bag of kibble or something on us.
yeah.
And we'd be like, here, wampus kitty.
And then she would instinctively just not come to us. Be like, no.
I would hope that would be the case, but her notable feature is that she makes this chilling, blood-curdling scream that echoes through the forest at night.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess anyone that hears that feel like an overwhelming sense of terror, and they feel like they're being followed by an unseen entity in the woods. But there was a famous encounter in the 1920s reported by a group of hunters in the mountains of Tennessee. According to their tale, they were out in the woods at night when they heard an odd, almost like human cry. The sound stopped them dead in their tracks. And then soon after, they heard these heavy footsteps approaching them. But they couldn't see anything because it was so dark. And then as the noise grew closer, they said they saw yellow eyes glowing in the dark. And then before they could even react, a large shadowy form leapt across their path. And then the hunters later described it as a huge feline creature, but it moved with such speed and agility that they couldn't make out its full form. So they were pretty terrified. A lot of hikers, though, and campers have been reported being stalked by this creature. Some claim they hear the blood-curdling scream on the dark nights in the mountains, and then others will tell the stories of shadowy figures of large cats seen on hiking trails. But how do they know they're not like bobcats or whatever? You know what I mean?
Right.
But it is considered a warning a symbol of the land's deep mysteries and the consequences of violating ancient sacred rules. So there you go. We've got the Wampus Cat now to worry about on top of the Moon-Eyed people and the Little Cherokee people. Although the Little Cherokee people seem nice, so I'm not worried about them.
They seem like they're a good.
You got another rule in your book for us?
No.
No?
I'm out of rules. I did see a TikTok of this one guy, and he is venturing out around in the snow, and he only followed the deer tracks. He said the deer know where to go.
Okay.
So then they know where not to go. So if you follow the deer tracks, then you're okay, but don't go away from the deer tracks.
But what if the deer is a skinwalker that shapeshifted to really trap you or fool you?
Then you're probably screwed.
Man, I just don't feel like there's any way out of this. I don't know why you'd want to live in the Appalachians. Much props to anyone in the Appalachians that's listening to this episode. You guys are the true warriors.
Maybe they just make it all up because they don't want anybody else to come in and
maybe
bother.
like, you city folk need to stay there in the city. You keep your Aldi and your Wegmans. You come out this way and we gonna sick the Wampus Cat and the Greenbrier Ghost on you. Speaking.
And the Moon-Eye folk.
And the Moon-Eye.
Yeah.
I have some more stories we can talk about. We've got the Greenbrier Ghost of West Virginia. That's one of the strangest and most rare true stories from the Appalachia, and that's the Greenbrier Ghost. This dates back to 1897, and it's the only instance from the United States where ghost testimony was used in a court of law.
Wow.
The ghost in question was the spirit of Zona Shu, who had died under mysterious circumstances in Greenbrier County, West Virginia. Initially, her death was ruled as natural, likely like a heart attack, but Zona's mother, Mary Jane Heister, claimed that her daughter's ghost appeared to her multiple nights after her death, revealing that she had been murdered by her husband, Edward Shu.
Ooh.
Zona's ghost reportedly described how her husband had killed her by choking her with a noose, after which she fell unconscious, and he staged the scene to make her death appear as if it was due to a heart attack. So Mary Jane persistent claims and then the ghostly visitations to her mom led authorities to reinvestigate Zona's death. They exhumed her body and found clear signs of neck trauma, which were consistent with the strangulation. And then this evidence led to the conviction of her husband, Edward Shu, for murder.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the only case directly influenced in a criminal trial in the United States by a ghost.
That is wild.
It's cool, though.
Yeah, like I believe that can happen.
I wish it would happen more often. Yeah.
Hey, Spirit Seekers. Enjoying the show? Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Spirit. Leave us a review on Apple or Spotify and share the love. We drop a new video every week on our YouTube channel covering paranormal, conspiracy, high strangeness, and more. Have questions or want to share your own spooky story? Drop us a line at tothespiritpod@gmail.com. Stay spirited.
We've got the vanishing hitchhiker of the Appalachian Highway 59. This is one of the most famous urban legends from the region. Although there's been numerous real-life reports that make it feel more real than just a tale. On the night of October 16, 1953, a man was driving along a desolate stretch of the Appalachian Highway 59 near Gadsden, Alabama, when he picked up a young woman who appeared to be stranded by the side of the road. She was described as a beautiful young woman dressed in a white gown. They always are in a white gown, Rachel.
Always.
We've learned this. She did not say much during the ride, but she was just trying to reach her home up the road. And then after driving for a while, the man stopped at an old farmhouse where the woman indicated she lived. And when the man went to knock on the door to ask her family to come out, the elderly occupants told him that no one by the name had lived there for decades. The woman had been dead for over 20 years. Now, local legend claims that the young woman was killed in a car accident years earlier on the same stretch of highway, and her spirit still asks passing motorists for a ride, only to vanish when they stop. And I feel like there are various iterations of this ranging from town to town, because I think we even have one up near 13 Curves near us. Yeah. We've got the ghost of the New River Gorge Bridge. and that's in West Virginia. Man, Virginia seems a little crazy to me now. I'm going, I don't think I want to be in Virginia now.
Yeah, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where some of my family's from.
Okay.
We used to go there. It's weird.
It seems a little, yeah. It's one of the highest bridges in the U.S., the New River Gorge Bridge. And it's a site that many reported ghost sightings and strange occurrences. It stands 876 feet above the gorge. And of course, it's been the site of numerous suicides. And some locals claim that the spirits have never fully departed. One of the most unsettling stories came from a man who was walking along the bridge at night, and as he crossed, he reported hearing the sounds of footsteps behind him. And then he turned around and he saw nothing. And at that moment, the air around him grew thick and cold. I know what that's like. And he felt a pressing sensation on his testicles. What the hell Freudian slip is that?
Wait, is it not his testicles?
He felt a pressing sensation on his chest.
This is not a smut podcast.
Oh, whoa. Terrified, he rushed to the end of the bridge where the feeling lifted. And then later on, the man found out that the suicide victim's body had been recovered from the gorge the same day. A lot of people feel a sense of foreboding while driving across the bridge. The sound of a disembodied voice can occasionally be heard, believed to belong to someone that's tragically fallen from it. A lot of the famous, well-known thing about the Appalachians would be the Brown Mountain Lights. Those are like Western North Carolina, I think, for centuries. And these lights appear on the horizon of Brown Mountain, particularly on foggy nights. They've been the subject of numerous theories and investigations. I think I've seen things on television about the Brown Mountain Lights. But they're described as glowing orbs. They move erratically, and sometimes they form patterns in the sky. Some say that they're natural phenomena, such as gases emitted from the mountains, and others believe they're connected to the spirits of the dead. The popular stories associated, again, with the Cherokees is that they're the souls of the Cherokee women whose lovers died in battle. Despite the scientific investigations, the true case of the lights remain unexplained. So that adds that supernatural element to the mystery. We've got the phantom train of the C&O Railroad.
The C&O Railroad.
Yeah, and I think that's on the Monopoly board, isn't it? That's in Hampton, West Virginia. They've reported hearing and seeing a phantom train that appears along the old Chesapeake in Ohio. That's the C&O Railroad tracks. And that goes back to a Ghost of the Railroad accident that occurred in the late 1800s where a train carrying passengers was derailed and killing dozens. Witness claimed to hear the sound of the train whistle followed by the rumblings of a train passing by. However, when they go outside to investigate, there's no train. And some people seen shadow figures on the tracks, and others said that they witnessed lights flashing across the rail bed despite no trains operating in the area. Now, this train is considered a haunting reminder of this tragic event, and it's one of the lesser known. It's a deeply unsettling part of the Appalachian ghost stories. Then there's the mysterious disappearances in the Smoky Mountains. So they're known for their famous beauty, obviously, and there's several documented cases of hikers and campers vanishing. This is a story of one of the most perplexing cases. Dennis Martin, a 6-year-old boy, vanished in 1969 while he was on a camping trip in the Smokies. His father reported seeing Dennis playing with other children, but when he turned around for just a moment, it's always in that moment, he had disappeared. Extensive searches over the years have turned up no clues, and Dennis Martin remains one of the Smoky Mountains' most famous missing person cases. The legend suggests these disappearances may be linked to supernatural forces. Of course. But they also think that there's vortex-like areas, and I don't think that's not true.
Yeah, who knows? There could be some sort of portals in those mountains, too. People just go through and disappear.
I think there's portals everywhere and ley lines at all different places throughout the U.S. There's a lot of lore to the Appalachians. There's a lot of crazy TikToks I'm sure people have seen. You get everything from those screaming sounds and the whistling. One of the creepy ones I came across, and this is something I truly believe as well, is if you, and this isn't just in the Appalachians, by the way, I think this should be for everyone. So let me just preface this by saying my grandmother used to say, we don't live in a fish bowl, close the curtains at night. If you have your curtains open, like people can see in the house and stuff. In the Appalachians specifically, the old folklore is, again, to close everything up. You lock all the windows and doors and you close the blinds and the curtains on everything. Because, all those creatures are out there creeping around looking in.
Yeah. I got blackout shades. You don't even know we're home.
Yeah.
It's so dark.
Because I've been outside and looked in to my own house.
Yeah.
And go, that's not cool, man. I got to go in and close everything up. I don't like living in a fishbowl. And I don't want things, because like in the daytime, you can see out usually, but people can't really see in too well. At nighttime, when everything's lit up, you're on display and who knows what's looking at you, especially in forests.
Right. So if you guys want to go on an adventure, you want a thrill, why don't you just try out the Appalachian Mountains?
Get a nice little Airbnb or cabin up in the Appalachians. Go out, start whistling.
Yeah. I'm like checking the time, like it's still early, okay.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, listeners, for tuning in to our very first episode. Remember, stay curious, stay connected,
and always listen to the spirit.
Bye.
Bye.
To the spirit
Podcast.
supernatural science
Aliens. I'm ghost.
psychic mystic
Spirits.
divine source heaven the dead.
It's magic.